Write me a meal plan for 5 nights of dinners, 2 adults, uses up 3 pounds of tomatoes, includes 1 night of tacos, and costs less than $100. Yeah, it's that easy. If you've been paying attention to the news, you might have heard the phrase ChatGPT or chatbots or artificial intelligence, but it's a new, free, publicly available technology. You can kind of think of it like a smarter version of a Google search. Instead of being able to handle one question, it can spit out answers to way more complicated problems. Like, for example, make me an entire meal plan. So I'm assuming that you don't need to be convinced to do meal planning. You just need a way to do it that's not ridiculously complicated, doesn't take 4 hours, doesn't make your brain hurt when you're done with it. Lots of us know that if you can meal plan, it will save you a ton of money. It's doing the meal plan first. Like, usually it takes me 3 hours a week to meal plan. Using ChatGPT, it was done in a half hour. Let me show you. So first you have to pull up a chatbot. The 3 I've heard most people talking about are ChatGPT, which is my favorite, Bard, which is Google's product, and there's Bing, which belongs to Microsoft. There's probably a ton more out there. I haven't tried all of them. For the purposes of this video, I'm gonna use Bard because I assume most people have heard of Google and would like to see what their version of it is. You can do this on your phone or your tablet or your desktop. My phone is taking the video right now, so we are using my computer. Next, once you've pulled up whatever chatbot you're dealing with, you're going to want to plug in as many pieces of information as you can give this about what you want your next week's meal plan to look like. So I came up with really 7 different inputs that it can work with. 1, how many meals you want. 2, if you want all of those meals to just be dinners or just lunches or just breakfasts or all 3 of them, you can do any of that. 3, how many people the meals need to feed. And also, like, whether they're adults or toddlers or teenagers, it like can give you different portion sizes. 5, any ingredients you want to use up, or if you've like checked the sales for this week and you know that chicken breasts are gonna be on sale, you could put that in. 6, whether you want this food to be budget friendly. I haven't found it to be great at saying, I have a budget of $125 and it needs to exactly meet that, because it understands that different locations have different prices on things. This isn't live, up-to-date information in the technology. It doesn't know exactly what's on sale this week. You still have to do that background digging yourself before you go and sit down with this. Or 7, any special circumstances, like if you're limited in the kinds of tools you have to cook with, if you need all of the food to be able to be eaten cold, like a cold lunch for your kids. All right, so here are some examples. I've been playing around with this extensively for the last couple months. For example, I asked it for a meal plan for 5 nights that could satisfy a picky teenager and an adult who's on a paleo diet. One of the cool things I noticed is that it would give me like a base recipe like chicken stir fry, and then it gave additional specifications to meet with those particular diets. So it said, take the chicken stir fry and put it on plain white rice for the picky teenager, and then put it on a bed of cauliflower rice for the paleo eater. And it was able to like separate different types of diet needs within the same meal, which is one thing that I have a really hard time thinking about because we have a lot of different diets in my house too. It also really understands different diets and what that means. Like it knew what vegan meals would look like, and paleo and Whole30 and keto and vegetarian and nut-free, dairy-free, soy-free. It could do all of that perfectly. Other things I could ask it, I said, can you help me come up with something to bring to a lacrosse banquet potluck for a side dish? It should include pasta, but no nuts of any kind. And it said yes. It gave me a pasta salad with roasted vegetables and Italian dressing, including all the ingredients, including all the directions for how to cook the thing. Oh, and if you ask it to, once it's come up with a meal plan for you, it will give you the grocery shopping list that's associated with all of those meals. Yeah, it does the grocery shopping list for you. You have to double check. One time I did it and it gave like banana pancakes as a recipe for that week. And then in the grocery shopping list, it didn't include bananas. So you do have to double check it. But I mean, even if it gets it 95% right and I just have to do a quick check to make the 5% corrections, that's still so much better. What else did I make this robot do? I asked it, can you generate a list of 10 ways I can use up leftover hamburgers? Yeah, it did that too. Can you come up with a week's worth of lunches for my husband who doesn't have access to a fridge or a microwave during the day? Yep, did that. Gave me all these different kinds of sandwiches and mason jar meals. It was great. Here's a trick. I have noticed that for years now, a lot of people have been trying to find certain websites or apps where you input a list of ingredients you have, and then the website or app will spit out a meal you can make with those ingredients. Yeah, you don't need those websites or apps anymore. This does it for you. So I said, I have onions, mayo, tomatoes, and grilled chicken. What can I make for dinner? Boom, gave me a dinner idea. And then if you don't like, anytime it gives you an answer, if you don't like it, there's a button to regenerate response. It'll say, oh, sorry, you didn't like that. Let me try again. Does it again for you. Or if you're really not hitting a bunch of good answers, you can just say, give me a list of 10 things that satisfy whatever thing you're inputting into it. It also remembers everything you ask it. So here's one I did. I said, can you write me a meal plan for 5 dinners and 2 adults that should use up 3 pounds of tomatoes and 3 pounds of chicken? The problem with that one was every meal included a pound of chicken. So sometimes it doesn't get it perfectly. So it gave me 5 nights of dinners that each used a pound of chicken when I originally told it only used 3 pounds of chicken. But it remembers that conversation, so I went back to it and I said, no, only 3 of the meals should use chicken. Try again. But it remembered the last thing I input, so it went back and it did everything else correctly. And then sometimes you have to fiddle with it, but still, the robot can just tell you what to eat for dinner. It's amazing. Here's a fun one. I asked it, can you create a week's meal plan for me for one person that only uses food you can buy at the dollar store? Yep, it did that. It was instant oatmeal and bananas, boxed macaroni and cheese with canned tuna and frozen peas, canned soup with crackers, instant grits, canned peaches, tortilla chips, and canned chili. Like a lot of things in cans. He was walking through the dollar store and like knew what to get. I love the little note they gave on that one though. It's like, while these meals can be prepared using ingredients from the dollar store, it is important to pay attention to nutrition. Can you tell my viewers why it's worth subscribing to the Homegrown Hillary YouTube channel? As an AI language model, I am not able to evaluate or promote specific YouTube channels. Wah, wah. I liked this one. Can you include a meal plan for a single adult on a budget? Should be low carb, low fat, but include a nice dessert every night. And it did that. Like it understands the concept of on a budget better than it understands specific numbers. So when I said, give me a meal plan on a budget, it knew to scale right to like ground beef, chicken, especially like whole chicken, lots of oatmeals, scrambled eggs. Like it knew what low budget meant. And so if you're worried that it's gonna tell you like to have all these like fancy recipes, like as long as you say on a budget when you're doing your initial input, you'll be okay. Feel free to ask any questions you have for how to use this technology in the comments. Like, I'm not making any money from this. I just want to be an artificial intelligence evangelist at the moment. So I think of meal planning as one of like the 4 key puzzle pieces in my brain of like how I save money on my family's grocery budget. One of the other big pieces is my family's price book. If you want to see a video on how I make a price book and how I use that to save money on groceries, you can feel free to go to that video right there. But until then, bye YouTube.